Welcome to the Family Brand Show. We're Chris and Melissa Smith of FamilyBrand.com, husband and wife, parents of 5, and we want to help you take back your family and to live life on your terms.
And we know being a family can feel really overwhelming. Parents tell us they feel like they're being pulled in a million different directions. It's so challenging to navigate the uncertainty and all the chaos that's happening in the world right now.
And that's why we want to bring you every single week actionable tips and strategies that you can implement in your daily life to become a better parent, to become a better spouse, and to build a stronger family. And look, there's never been a better time and a more important time than right now to take back your family. You can define what your family stands for, or the world is going to do it for you. And the world needs strong families now more than ever. And it starts right here with your family.
Hey, hope you're having an awesome summer. It's Melissa. Chris is out of town. He's been out of town a bit lately, shooting solo today. And first of all, I hope you're having a great summer. Our summer's been pretty chill so far. We went on a little trip at the beginning of the summer, hit New York, Boston, kind of upstate New York as well. But the rest of the summer, like so far, all the month of June, we've just been hanging out at home. Our kids are playing baseball, softball, basketball, and the local pool has been closed. Like the day it was supposed to open, something broke, and it's been closed for a few weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. But it finally opened last weekend, so everything feels right again in the world. We've hit the pool, I think, at least someone from our family every single day since then. So it feels good. It feels like summer. And this episode, this is my 6th time, the number 6, trying to record this episode because I tried recording it last week like 4 times, and I thought, I just need a break and I'll re-listen to these recordings. So I took a few days break, listened to the recording, my favorite recording from last week, and was like, nope, that's just not it. And so earlier today, I recorded this episode for the 5th time and felt good about it. And then I went to go listen to it just to make sure the audio is okay and, that I liked it. And the audio didn't record. And so I was like, okay, I'm missing something. Like, is there something I'm supposed to be saying or not saying in this episode? I honestly try and be really like thoughtful and even prayerful about every episode. I mean, some are more intentional than others, don't get me wrong, but it really did have me sit back and look and examine like, okay, am I missing something? So I hope that this episode reaches you in some way, serves you in some way. And it is kind of like a tricky episode in a way. And I think that's why I initially recorded it so many times last week, because it's some thoughts that I've been processing lately that are coming out of some news about a family member. Last week, we found out that I had a cousin that passed away really unexpectedly. You may have even heard about this. He was a pilot and his plane went down off the coast of San Diego. And what makes this even more hard is his wife was in the plane with him. They have 2 little babies who they left at home, and those babies don't have either of their parents anymore. And it's like, of course, devastating. I think as a parent, I want to say it's like one of the hardest things that I feel like I think about. I'm like, I want to be there like every second for my children. I want to like watch them grow up, and to think that their babies won't have that is really sad. Anyway, so the last 10 days or so, I've just had a lot of different thoughts and things, and services for my cousin and his wife are going to be this weekend, and I'm looking forward to going to that. But my episode today, when something like this happens, I think it causes you to reflect and be really introspective, and it did that for me. But I want to take this episode a little bit different direction than you might be thinking. I don't want it to be like super like, where is my life headed? That type of episode. I want it to be a little more tactical, because there's a few things that I thought about that I realize have everything to do with being an intentional family and intentional parenting, but we've never talked about on the podcast. And so, I think this will be like a good episode. So I'll just jump right in. This first thing that I thought about is we always, at least for me, I'll speak for myself, I always want, as I mentioned earlier, want to be there for my kids. Like I don't want to miss any of it. And I think I always, especially when I was younger and raised my babies, you kind of feel invincible. Like of course you're gonna always be there. Of course you'll always be part of their growing up. And I think around the time for us around the time we had our last baby, so this would have been she's 8, so 8 to 10 years ago, Chris had a client. This, in my memory, this is how it went down. Chris had a client that was an attorney who kind of was nudged us a bit and was like, "Hey, you have 5 kids. Like, do you have a plan in case something were to happen to you or Melissa? Like, what are your wishes, or who will have guardianship over your kids?" And it was something we had never really considered. And he was kind of like, "Well, he probably should." And so I really had to start thinking about that. And so I thought today I touch on that a bit. Like, how do you decide like who you want to raise your kids if something happens to you? And for us, the thought process looked kind of like this. I think you initially kind of look at your immediate family and you think, okay, is there anyone that jumps out right away? And for us, it looked like, okay, who parents maybe in a similar way to us? Who do we think will raise our kids with similar values or morals that we think are ideal? Who maybe has a similar lifestyle where it wouldn't be it would be a huge transition for your kids regardless. But is there someone who parents or lives in such a way where it would be maybe less of a transition for them than others? And these are some of the questions we were asking ourselves. And I think we initially started looking at my family. I'm the oldest of 8 siblings. Well, I'm the oldest of 9, so I have 8 younger siblings. So we were kind of looking at them initially and thinking, is there anyone in my family that would be a good fit to ask them to raise our kids if something happened to us? And at the time, all my siblings were kind of just starting their families. I think they, for the most part, either had 1, maybe 2 kids, those that had started their families. And we just felt like, adding 5 kids to any of my siblings didn't feel like the right move. It just felt like that would be a lot for any of them. And so we then looked to my parents and decided, do we feel like they would be not just willing, but want to raise kids for the next 20 years? Because I think Indy was tiny at that time, and really would be asking someone to sign on for 20 years. And felt like, you know what? I don't know if that's the right call with my parents either. And so we then looked to Chris's family, Chris's sisters. They're all grandmas already. So again, didn't feel like that was the best fit. Chris's parents, same thing. They're now in their 80s. So didn't feel like that was the right call either. So we started looking outside of our family, and again, with kind of that criteria, similar values, similar parenting, similar lifestyle. And we realized that we had a family in mind that kind of stuck out for both Chris and I, that we felt like we wanted to ask them about this, if they would be willing to raise our kids if something happened to Chris or I. I made Chris call them. It felt like kind of an awkward conversation. It's such a big ask. We raise our kids, and Chris did call them and did ask them, and they are so cool. We love them so much. We've known them since we moved into the same neighborhood when we both had one baby, and I think we were both pregnant with our second. And so that was like 17 years ago, and we've been friends ever since. Like almost even to this day, like we traveled together. Last summer we went to France together, and we've remained close. And we even, as it ended up, they have 5 kids, we have 5 kids. They don't like perfectly match up age-wise, but so close that it is just perfect. And so we felt like that was the answer. And I'm so grateful for them and their willingness to do that. And that would mean they would raise 10 kids. I mean, that's a lot to be willing to do that. Like, I don't know. I love that. And then last names are the Smiths. So it would also be like not a name transition either, which was not really part of the thought process, but just an extra bonus. So, Smiths, if you're listening, we love you. And so, yeah, that's what it looks like for us to make that decision. And I know for my cousin, I was just talking to my dad. They're kind of trying to decide still who will raise his kids. And I know whoever they choose, I guess they're meeting this weekend under his family and her family, and are going to kind of decide. I have no doubt that it would be a good fit, the best possible fit given the circumstances. But it just made me think, like, I would want to say in it. I think any parent would want to, but sometimes you don't think like that you need to make those decisions right now. You feel like you have time. Maybe you don't. So, first thing, do you have a will? And there's more to a will than that, but that's just the pertinent detail right now that I think is, top of mind. Secondly, is life insurance. And honestly, I have no clue about life insurance as it relates to my cousin, but I'm thinking about wills. I'm also thinking about life insurance. Again, nothing we've ever discussed here, but it's part of an intentional planning. At least the decision, do we want to have insurance? How much? I know when we were very first married, I was probably still 20. Chris went and got life insurance. And I remember thinking like, wow, he's like very proactive about this. Like, we just got married. We're already adulting. Like, look at us. It's a good job, Chris, for doing that. But I didn't have life insurance for a while, and I think it might have just been our agent trying to upsell us. But regardless, there came a time, I think after I'd had a couple of kids, where he approached us about me getting life insurance. And I wasn't bringing in that much money. I would have been working as a nurse then, but not a lot of hours. I remember thinking, I'm not making a lot of money. We don't necessarily need to replace a big income for me. But he kind of broke it down and said, well, it's not just about replacing income. He said, if something were to happen to you, Melissa, would you, Chris would probably need to hire someone to, maybe a nanny, maybe it's a daycare, maybe it's someone to help clean and do laundry and meal prep or whatever it is. Like, there would probably be, because you have little kids still, some extra help would be needed. And I, didn't disagree with that. And he's like, and even if Chris did handle all of that somehow, don't you think he would want to, or have the ability to take a little breather? Like, not feel, okay, I have to get back to work next week if something were to happen to me. Like, I don't have to, close these deals, or I don't have to hustle. Like, I can take a breather. I can be here for myself to heal and to grieve. I can be there for my kids. And I have a little bit of money that allows that to happen. And I'm really glad that he said that. And we decided, that for me as a wife, I would totally want that for Chris. And so I do. So we both have life insurance right now. And we got it when I was probably in my 20s. And so it's very affordable. But I've always been glad about that. Both ways. Like, if something were to happen to Chris or something were to happen to me, we would have the means to stay in our houses and, be able to afford food and just live without stressing about any of it. And so, homework. If you have a will, revisit it. When you're raising your family, things can change so quickly. And if you maybe made some decisions 10 years ago, maybe those decisions aren't the best fit anymore. So revisit it, look at that, look at your will, and then secondly, do you have life insurance? And if so, is it the right amount? That could be another thing too. When we were first married, our needs were financially, especially, prices of things are just so much different than they were 20 years ago. The life insurance that, the amount that would have been more than enough 20 years ago might need to be adjusted, because now, as I said, we have a mortgage and there's more of us to take care of. So examine that. Do you have life insurance? Do you feel like you have the appropriate amount? And if not, make adjustments, make some moves, because I know that everyone would want to feel like they were taking care of the people that they love most. And yeah. So my final thoughts here are, I want this to feel connected, but it might feel a little disconnected from my first thoughts. I just feel like, so this might not even make sense, but last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, this is a little story, was driving to Ivy's softball game. And she plays softball. Her games are 2 towns over. It's a 15-minute drive away. And so as we were leaving her game, she was playing at the high school of the neighboring town. Tanner was driving, my 16-year-old, and we were driving, out of the campus, drove past the basketball courts, the tennis courts, and we were leaving the campus. And I saw this ball on the side of the road, a basketball. And I feel like my kids are always losing things. Basketballs are always one flat. And this ball was just sitting in the middle of nowhere, basically, on the side of the road near the campus. And I was like, Tanner, there's a basketball. Turn around. Like, let's go get it. Like, let's see, if there's not a name on it or something. We have a basketball hoop in our backyard. Like, we're always looking for another ball to play speed with or whatever. Let's go get the basketball. And he was like, okay, Mom. So he flipped around and then he pulled over on the side of the road. And so the ball would have been nearest to me on the passenger side. And I opened the door and I get out of the car. I pick up the ball and I look at it and it says Smith on it. I was like, oh, that's like so weird. I mean, Smith is kind of a common name, but still a little bit weird. And then as I turn the ball over, I look at it more closely and it also has like this little kid's handwriting on the side and it says Smith. And honestly, I don't know why this makes me emotional, but I realized this was our basketball. I haven't seen it in like a year and a half. Like, Troop remembers it was his handwriting, my 10-year-old. He remembers taking it to school, and he's been homeschooling for the last like year and a half. So it would have been prior to that when he was still in school. He remembers taking it to school. Again, we live a whole town over, like 15 minutes away. And he thinks he maybe left it at school one day. A year and a half later, I'm in a neighboring town. I happen to see this basketball and tell Tanner to pull over so I can pick it up. Chris always makes fun of me, by the way, because I'm always like, oh, treasures on the side of the road. Like, if someone leaves some really good furniture, I don't do it as much as I used to, but I used to be like all about that. And it was like so touching to me. And maybe it's just like this weird thing, like maybe there's nothing more to it. But for me, it felt significant. And it felt like somehow in that moment, I felt like God was looking down on me and he was like, I see you and I got you. So if you're going through anything right now, I know I started this episode talking about my cousin. There's like hard things going on, not just in my life, not just in his life. I know that there's a lot of heavy things going in a lot of people's lives and in the world. And I'm going to pass on that message to you. God sees you. He's got you. He knows you. He loves you. Also, get your life insurance. Get your well. Love your babies. Love your people. And have an amazing week. Thanks for hanging out with us today on the Family Brand Podcast. But wait, before you go, I want to give you something. It's something I stole out of our Family Brand Academy because I thought it would make a big difference for you, and I want you to have it for free, no strings attached. It's how we run our family meetings, and not just our family meetings that we have every week, but also our family check-ins, which is this system we've developed for how to connect with our kids and each other, Chris and I, every single week. And we've had some great outcomes with this. Not only have we, but a lot of families that have implemented this have as well. Actually, life-changing outcomes, if I'm being honest. You'll definitely want to get this. Go get your copy at familybrand.com/meeting, and we will catch you next time.